Today, 30th of May 2026, is Biafran Heroes Remembrance Day. And it is a day that is very significant to the Igbo people. It's a day of sober reflection. It's a day that we should have sat down with our children without going to work, without going to market, a public holiday day where we sit down and narrate what happened in the past to our children. So they know histories, they know the past things that has happened, because a people without history may not necessarily know what has happened in the past and will not know what will happen to them in the future. It is people who knows what has happened in the past that can actually structure how their future is moving. And this history should be taught to our younger generation so they don't seem detached or lost from the originality of narrative of or histories that back their land. Now, why we sit and have deep reflections, why we remember the things that happened in the past, why we pick up our phones and medias to read things that happened in the past, I bring to you some details of things that led to the war and things that has happened after the war. The reality on ground is that the war never ended. There was war even before the physical war, and after the physical war, there's been war. So the things that actually was the foundational errors why the war even happened in the first place is that things I'm going to handle before I now talk about the war itself and the aftermath of the war. Now, the things that are the elementary things that caused the war was how Nigeria was shared as a British empire or property and given to the British people during the Berlin Conference, where Africa was shared on a table. Now, Britain took Nigeria by forcefully amalgamating the northern part of Nigeria with the southern part, because Nigeria is like nations, different ethnic nations that should be on their own without forcefully coming together without a proper arrangement for living together. So that is the basis of the problem. Now, this was done by Lord Lugard and the girlfriend, who actually gave us a name that is disrespectful, that shows a collation of black people, an area that is domiciled by black people, nigger people. So you see, this was a wrong impression, wrong things they did. This is not even a name that we should actually answer, in the first place. So what was the aim of the British people? That the areas that have been conquered by Osman and Fodio as a Fulani hegemony or system should be handed over the whole leadership system, since they are very loyal to them and they don't ask questions and they don't challenge them. And the truth is because these same ethnic group, who are now also the still problem of this generational form of Nigeria, the Fulani people, with proofs to show. If you want to prove, there are proofs to show, of course. Now, they made sure they put a police system that gave arms to these people to control every other system. And if these systems were good, they should have not been coup. What led to the coup? It was coup and counter war that led to the whole war. So you see, the formation of Nigeria first was a faulty agreement that was forcefully done without consulting the ethnic people or Igbo people, my people, to come and sign. You understand? So we'll stop from there. Now we'll now talk about the war. The war was caused by the British discovered natural resources already in the southern regions. So if the southern people went independently without the business empire as one, it's going to affect how they bargain with these people or how they explore and steal their natural resources. So they set in political disunity, they set in varying opinions between the black people who were in leadership during the time of Gowon, Ojukwu, and then Zog and all of them. And they were coup and coup. This led to the war. When it led to the war, who was the target? The Igbo people who felt we've been disrespected, we've been killed in the north, our general army is slaughtered because a war was started, an Igbo coup, change of narrative, that they want independence. Or even if they must live with Nigeria together, there should be some clear understandings of how we should live together. That was the Aburi Accord that was agreed in Ghana by black nationalists, pan-Africanists, who knew that the problem was the British people. And then told these black Africans, you don't need to kill yourself, you don't need to go to war, you don't need to be doing coup or recoup again. Set a system that gives everybody independence, autonomy, where these things could work for all of us. And Gowon in his early age agreed, early time and convictions. But immediately he came back to Nigeria, the British people held him hostage and said, agree to what? Who told you? Why must you give them freedom? Do you know they have oil? They have natural resources. If you leave them, what would your area feed with? You need to hold them in parasitic form, and that was why the war started. They now connived with the Yorubas and said, let's go destroy these people for being stubborn. They caused the war and all of that. This was what happened. Nothing more. If anybody tells you any other thing, they are lying to you. It was British interest that brought this problem, using the Fulani as a simple and usable tool. Nothing much. You want to confirm, read the Nigerian Federation account of the war. Read the Biafran account of the war. I read independent observers and other international writers who wrote, then analyze. You know this was what happened. Okay, let's come out from there. So today, we lost people, close to 5 million people. How were they killed? Most of them were victims of war because they were lands that were destroyed. Our people were broken, you know. And let's also don't hide the fact that most of the people who died out of starvation, because there was blockade on where goods, where services, where food came to Biafran people through the Cameroon border. It was blocked and was used as a bargain, the Bakassi Peninsula. Now, if we are able to blockade these people from having access and all of this, you give that region to us as settlement for the war. And they agreed. That is why they ceded that part of Nigeria to Cameroon during Obasanjo's time. Because even natural oil and deposit that is there, which is even the problem between the people there who still affiliate the Ambazonians with the southeastern people, and then the Cameroonian Federation, because of the natural resources there. Subsequently happening in Nigeria is happening there. But Cameroon is controlled by the Francophone, by the France Empire, who held them bondage also since the period of slavery till now, because national banquet and resources must be stolen from Africa. I don't know whether I'm making sense to you. The same problem is happening there. So let's come back home. Now in Nigeria, it's been troubles and troubles. Histories were deleted from our, what is it called? Books, from our academic system, so that people don't research and ask questions about things that happened in the past, so that they could be memory lost, just like these Gen Z generations do not even know what led to the war, why they should be a sober day like this. These are all engineering and academic set works of the British people. Verifiable, confirmed, we're not afraid. I'm speaking before the gods of my land. These are the deities that I serve. I'm speaking in front of them, and I'm holding off on the king. I cannot say what I'm saying is truth, and they are confirmable. These were the things that led to the program, we losing our people, and then other details of how we fought the war, the engineering and discoveries by the Igbo people through University of Nigeria and Soka, the heroes who fought the war. These are just subsequent topics we will handle for other days. But for today, we remember how we were very resilient. They gave us only 20 kobo after the war, after they destroyed our land. We started from 20 kobo. Not every Igbo entrepreneur was even opportune to get that 20 kobo. But from that 20 kobo, we've risen to become the biggest economically empowered people in the whole of West Africa, even after the war. We've risen to produce the best academicians in the southern and the northern part of Nigeria, even though we've not been given authority to lead. Because after the war, they said it was going to be 3 hours. What were they? Rehabilitation, rehabilitating people who are victims of this whole war, reconstruction, and then reconciliation. But none of these promises actually happened. The Nigerian state never even forgave the Igbo people for standing strong to say, do what is supposed to be right. See, today, Igbo people, there is this acronym that they say why they formed the Naira was never allow Igbo rule again, even though we know it may not be factual. But this is the system that exists. Igbo people should never leave so that they don't open the eyes of others to the evil that is happening in Nigeria. That was it. But you said reconciliation. Was there really reconciliations after the war? They said no vanquished, no victor. But it is all lies. We know they shared our land as bounty. During the creation of states, they divided Igbo, pushed Igbo people to Kogi State and called it Northern State, pushed Igbo people to Delta and called it Delta. Meanwhile, these are Igbo people and said it's South. Both Igbo people in Benin, Ibanke, they shared our land, they balkanized us, they butchered us, they never allowed us to reconcile back. They brought churches to destroy, they brought division. They saw the ingenuity and the strength of the Igbo man and they tried to weaken us. They cut us off from the seaport in Port Harcourt that it must be non-functional, both the one in Calabar, to economically strain us. There is no energy resources here for younger generations of Igbo people to develop their talents or develop their industries and companies. They made sure that nothing is working here. No international airport in the southeastern region, so that we don't connect to the world without passing through Yoruba and Abuja. It is a shared banquet. We know. But these memories live with us because it is the memories of these things that we passed in the past that will build the solution to the future. These histories must be taught to our children. If you cannot sit your children and tell them these histories, play this video to them to watch. My name is Maazi Package Okuchuku Abanem Mode Mobiarowa. I'm a researcher, I'm a teacher, I'm a historian, I'm a solution giver, I'm an ideologist, I'm a philosopher. These were the gifts from the gods of my land who live around you. Thank you.